associated with it. We just sit relaxing the balls and put good energy out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And she does it, right? You do it at different venues, or?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
for meditation and sound healing. Yes.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Should I pack it up later?
No, I don't want to be packed up right
Pack
now.
it up.
Yeah, would it take long?
No, I mean, you can, I'll be quiet.
I thought she was going to do it throughout the whole presentation.
Did it bring a calmness at all to anyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Raise your hand if you felt a calmness with that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, you look like you were asleep.
It's pretty cool, right?
That's almost fun.
You know, we're going to be talking about communication today. And communication works the same way when you're doing it right. It works through harmony. You comfy there, hon?
Yes.
Wait, since we did that,
What's that? Harmony. So, can you tell me when we started?
It started.
Oh yeah? So let's go ahead. Let me have 2 people. Can I have 2 volunteers, please? You're not going to do anything embarrassing, I promise. There's 1. There's 2. Lisa, come on up. You too. So good communication is what this is about. We're going to go ahead. If you have good if you can take your communication and help it be not just good communication, but divine communication. It's where you're fully connected and anchored to your source. There is a transformational experiences that happens. Your relationships heal. They get better. They don't just get better, they become perfect. Your career, your marriage, your networking, your connections that you have, your results and work, your success level. When you're communicating, who knows what a vampire person is? They suck out your energy vampire. Yeah, raise your hand if you spoke to someone when you actually had a heart looking to help someone and they were just wasting your energy, because they will keep the conversation going, but the whole time they're just looking for ways to not, looking for reasons to not be helped in any way. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you master your communication, when you become a vessel for that and you're anchored to source, you're not going to have so much less energy at the end of the day, because we're surrounded by people like that, by the way. Which kind of makes it frustrating and makes us not want to help people. That's the temptation, to stop helping people. So learning this workshop right now, what you're going to learn in this workshop is going to change your life as soon as you apply it. What happens when you take cold water and hot water and you put it together? What happens to the hot water?
Cools down.
It cools down. What happens to the cold water? It warms up. So to have divine communication, we need the hot water to stay anchored and connected to its source of heat. And then when it mixes with the cold water, what happens? No, the heater's still going on here. The flame's still here.
Okay.
If she stays connected to the source of all the heat,
She'll heat up.
she's going to stay hot. And so will he. So divine communication, you have to be connected to your source from within. You have to be connected to that deepest place of divine love. And when you're there, that's the kind of love that you would have for your child. Would you you would be willing to sacrifice yourself for your children, wouldn't you?
yes.
So it's that kind of connection constantly from that space. But at the same time, you can't force your children into doing everything you want them to do, right? So there is a balance here, and we're going to show you how to get into that balance. And if you can get in that balance, and with any type of person in your life, guess what happens to your relationship with that person when they're only feeling grateful and thankful and they see how much you care. And they realize you're not being pushy and you're not you're never overstepping your boundary, and that's how they feel, then what happens to your relationship with that person? They're actually seeing God in you. And they're gonna, and that's the whole goal here. So, so if, Beverly was doing the bowls, the Himalayan bowls, and I said that kind of, communication is kind of like the same way, because if you're thinking in advance what you're gonna say, before you say it, you're already not communicating in a divine way, because you're being selfish, thinking about what you want to tell her, instead of looking to connect and see where she's at, what she's going through, what her needs are, where she needs help, how she'd like to be helped, and see if there's any provisions for you that God put there, because there's always a provision. You follow? Are you here? So if we already know what we want to say, is that divine communication? No. But if you jump up and focus on principles, all you know is that there's a way for her to have perfect health in her life, or perfect peace in any area of her life, at work, at whatever, okay? And you know that there's going to be some way that you can help, and you're going to see if there's any thing that comes up, and you're going to offer yourself to be willing to help. And now you're opening the door for divine communication. And you wait and see what comes up. So what's happening is, instead of coming into your head, and you can only get to the vibration, you can get out of the lower vibrations like a tuning fork. You know what a tuning fork is? You can get him vibrating, and if he knows exactly what he's going to tell her, he's getting out of anger, resentment, frustration. He's looking to do a good thing, but he's doing it his way, so he's going to get up to the vibration of pride. And it stops there. So you can't really do that. It actually gets to the point where you're not sure exactly how it's going to go, but you still have faith that there's a provision, there's a way that you go beyond that. You're putting yourself on the line, there's humility there, and love, where it's just like, whatever it is, I'm going to be a vessel. When he's vibrating there, the communication is going to be so much better. And like a tuning fork, all he has to do is just be in the presence, and with that intention in his mind, not to try to teach her or do anything for her, but just to see, is there a need that she has that he can fill in a way that she wants it to be filled. And we're going to go into that in a little bit more specifics, because there are certain, it has to be above integrity, right? And when we master this, what's happening is just like the cold water and the hot water, if she stays, now we're showing him the hot water, right? If he stays vibrating at that high frequency, her vibration, if she's a tuning fork also, she'll come in, he's going to activate those same resonances in her. So if what's your name? if Jim, you see how much I'm at, right? If Jim is vibrating with this energy that's humble and says, I don't know, whatever it is that you can do, I don't know what you need, I don't know what's going on, but if you're going through a hard time, I want you to know that you're not alone in this. Or you and your husband, and that you have friends here, and we'll help you figure out a way, and I don't even know what that is yet. And you don't have to share with me. But we're in 100%, and I don't want to ever see you be forced to accept something bad in your life, and settle for that, and live with that. And if you're ever having a hard time, you make sure you know you can come to me. So you start to feel that vibration of that kind of love. It gets her to start vibrating there, which is all you would ever really want when you're communicating with someone. If you can get them to vibrate what you're vibrating at, then they're going to start wanting to do the things from that way of thinking. So if you're vibrating a level of divine love, then the other person's going to get there. And we're going to show you how to do that today. Because what happens is, you can sit down. What happens is, you may have experience in your life in the past that shows you exactly how to overcome something. And through that experience, if you have a good heart, like most of us do, you're going to want to share that with people. So you start coming up to a spot where you know exactly what they need. As soon as you say that, you're being prideful. Because you actually might be right, in what they need, but the way they need it, the timing they need it, how they need it, or whether it's going to come in some other way, shape, or form, but pretty much the same thing, you don't know that. Because they're different, and their commitments are different. And they're committed to certain ways of being. We all are. None of us are perfect. That may hold them back, and they may have to walk around 40 years around the same mountain in the desert, over and over before they reach their promised land. Do you understand? Before they reach their goal. But as long as you have complete faith that they can, and you just stay patient and you wait for the right things to come across you, you're not in control of the conversation, you're just staying in love, then eventually that person is going to start vibrating with you too, and feeling that same caring. And then they're going to want to take care of themselves or do whatever it is. But you're going to find the right provision for them, the one that's laid out for them. If this topic is divine communication, well, the divine has a perfect provision for you. And I want you to know that the ability to heal from any condition, right now in this very second, there's a provision for that too for you. And yet, because of our commitments to certain beliefs and certain ways of being, we limit things, and we have there's fear, doubt, there's disbelief, belief in incorrect things. And what it actually does is the healing that you're looking for is existent. God is spirit. It's in the spirit. It's in the spirit. And it's so good to know that, first of all. Isn't it? To know. Did you feel my vibration just jump up? Coming from what I wanted to say to just letting it go. But anyway, the whole point is it's in the spirit. Everything you need. It's done. God is spirit. It's not in physical form. You can't see it or you can't touch it. Does that mean it doesn't exist? Does that mean there's not the perfect way for you to get what you need? Just because you can't see my car parked in the parking lot, does that mean it's not there? You can't touch it? The same way, there's a perfect provision for you. And the more we're committed to certain ways of being, sometimes it's going to take longer. So sometimes someone can come to me at this point here, X, that's things are dying inside, things are breaking down, disease. They've only been seeing normal doctors who want to manage the breakdown process, diagnose it, and manage it for them with drugs and surgery. And they want to feel better. They want to be here. This is a complete healing life. So there's death and life. And I want to push them down right here. Oh, no problem, I'll help you. But there's so many committed beliefs, labels, oh, but I have this condition, and the doctor said this and that, that if I actually went ahead and tried to move in that direction, it'd be like, they'll reject it. You mean to tell me that I could actually heal from this cancer? Because I just wanted to feel a little bit better. Let me get this straight. You're saying that I can actually, like, get completely better? I don't trust these people. That's it. Because they don't believe it's possible. So the thing is, there's still a provision to get that person where they need to be. Maybe you're talking about your spouse. Maybe it's your kids. Maybe it's your 13-year-old. There's a way. But the more egotistical everyone is, the more stubborn we are, it might not happen in one day. It might take 40 years going around this way. Go all around until spiraling in little by little until eventually you get there. But no matter, the good news is that even if you're committed to going exactly in the opposite direction, I mean, in other words, if you're the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst you can be, there's still a provision for you. There's still a way to get there. And so that's pretty good news because it allows us to be in a state of faith already to begin with. And you want to know something? Even if you're not spiritual, even if you're not religious, neither am I, by the way, but even if you don't value spiritual principles, it's no different than, this is what you can liken it to. Imagine your child is going through a deadly situation, God forbid, right? And they're going, Daddy or Mommy, it's okay. Don't worry, nothing can really help me. And are you going to sit there and look at them and be like, you know what? You're right, the doctor said nothing can be done. So I guess we'll just... No, you're not going to say that to that little kid. Come on, you know, right? Think about how wrong... Tell me, raise your hand if you think it would be wrong to say that to that child. You're right. You know what? Let's just get this over quick so I can... No. You're going to say, hey, listen, you're going to overcome this. There's a way. But you're not going to lie either. You're going to say, and Daddy doesn't know what that is. But we're not going to stop looking until we find it. Because we're not letting this happen. Do you see the humility in that? And yet there's still such conviction and faith? So when we go ahead and we communicate, this is powerful. If you can learn how to communicate, there's so many obstructions, so many blockages that come up. So the first step is, you got to be anchored. And we're going to discuss that a little bit. Then we're going to talk about it, we're going to share a mnemonic with what helps you remember what to do and what to make sure you understand the fruits of what you're looking for, so you can adapt if necessary. And then we'll just tie it together at the end, okay? So the first step is, you got to be anchored to the flame. Because if you go ahead, even if you're red hot, but if you go ahead and you talk to someone who's cold and you're trying to heat them up, they're going to cool you off. And when you're lukewarm, does anything good happen? No, you got to be on fire. You have to be on fire. So you have to be anchored. So the first lesson, ready? Don't rely on other people. Don't. Don't rely on other people to make you feel good. Right? I take care of you all as my own family. So I always keep, each visit is teaching you how to do more for yourself. Because what if I'm not going to be with you? And you can't take me home with you. So the key here is, don't rely on others. Plus, you become needy. If I'm always relying on my wife to make me feel better, that means when I'm with her, I'm being needy. And guess what it's doing to her? She has her own issues to work on. And now I'm just dumping mine on her. Is that going to help my relationship with her? Same thing with your friends. If you're relying on other people to make you feel good, it doesn't work. So guess who you have to start? Guess who has to start? Listen, and it's not just the negative things. People will always have an opinion. But their negative opinions, the world's negative opinions, you can't let that water get in your boat. This is how you stay anchored. That's what we're describing right now. You're a boat. And you're in this ocean. And you're surrounded by this ocean of worldly opinions. Okay? Now the reason the boat stays afloat and continues on to its destination is because it keeps the water out. Right? The other morning, my car was parked behind someone else's car, and the key was actually in the car. Everything was provided. But someone came all flustered because they had to leave to the airport and so on, and they were so stressed and flustered and angry, and why is this car blocking my car? And, right? I let the water in my boat. I took on too much water. So I started getting stressed. I started looking in normal places I keep the keys. But I left the key in the car just in case anything had to happen. So I couldn't even find it. I realized I was letting too much water in the boat. As soon as I took time for peace, you know what? Go check the car. Oh, it's there. You follow? You're in this boat. What happens if you let too much water in the boat? What happens to the boat? It sinks. The top of the water is choppy sometimes. But you know that if you go deep, 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 the water's just, there's a peace, there's a stillness. You're like in the eye of a hurricane. One of the ways you always have to, see, when you want to communicate in a divine way, the key here is to get yourself grounded to a place of peace. And peace is always knowing that there's a provision, there's a way. if you don't believe that yourself, then you're not vibrating at that high frequency, so you're not going to be able to get the other person to do it too. And you're wasting your energy. You're wasting your time. Raise your hand if you've done that before, where you ended up talking for an hour, but there's no real clear path or goal set, so you're really just talking about a problem without an actual expectation of finding the solution right now. That's called complaining, right? Isn't that called complaining? You're just discussing that there's a problem and you're dwelling on it instead of going ahead. It takes that, sometimes it's just like that 1 degree, you know, what's the difference between 211 degrees and 212 degrees? What's that? Well, yeah, but the thing is, the difference between 200 degrees and 201 degrees, that's also 1 degree. But nothing changes except for that degree. But when you're at 211 degrees, and you switch that 1 more degree, now water can turn to steam. That's a whole state change. And now you have enough power to power a locomotive engine, a steam engine. All it took was that 1 more degree. You follow? So sometimes we sit there and we work ourselves up and we're up to 200 degrees. It's like you don't realize how close you are. That if you could just go that 1 more degree. Go to just a few more degrees. If you're at 200, you're looking for 212. Come on, a little bit further. 210. You got all this way, 200. You can get to 212. And when you're at 211, magic happens with every step forward. And as soon as you hit 212, there's transformation. That's what you're looking for. That 1 more degree from a posture of this to a posture of that. Where all of a sudden there's that confidence. You know there's a provision. And you don't know exactly what you're going to say yet, just like we used an example before. But you know it'll happen because that's faith. That's what we call faith. You don't have to worry what to say. Just know the principles. You're loved. You're provided for. Let me show you. There's a way. What are you struggling? Are you struggling? I want to make sure. Just want to make sure you're not settling for anything bad in your life, or being forced into something. That's all. I'm just being friendly. I care. That's it. Is that so bad? Is that so hard to just love people without judging them? To think you want to help them, but you want to help them the way you want to help them? It's like you're in this hurricane, and there's this hurricane, and a hurricane, you can have 150-mile-an-hour winds all around you to kind of knocking down trees. But you could just stay in the center of the hurricane. Because that's what the world's like, this hurricane of worldly opinions, right? But in the center, what are the winds like in the center?
Calm.
There are none. It's calm. What'd you say? Peaceful. Calm. There's peace in the center, in the eye of the storm. Now, when you start trying to navigate, you don't know which way the winds are blowing, right? Don't we not know which way the wind come or go? So it's the same thing with the hurricane. We have expectations it's going to come this way, but then we find out, oh, it actually went this way more. It actually went this way more, right? Isn't that what happens with hurricanes? Mm-hmm. So with all the best technology and the best we have, we still don't have 100% accuracy which way the winds are going to blow. So if you're in the eye of the storm, you need to look for the provisions. You need to look for that ways. There's a momentum wave. It's going to be peaceful. I'm going to show you how to find that. But when you're there, you can stay in the eye of the storm. But here's the best part. As you learn how to communicate better, which we're going to go into, but first we're talking about being anchored, and then we're going to talk about sharing that with others. All right? So once you're in that eye of the storm, you're at peace. That hurricane may be moving and you want to move, and if you cross into those 150-mile-an-hour winds, you're going to get blown over. But if you follow the right guidance from within, that peace, not only can you stay in peace for the whole rest of your life, but you start to realize that the amount of peace that's there, it's like you realize there's like a vibration, there's like this volcano of peace. And there's this infinite supply underneath that can go out and literally push out and expand your borders of peace and push the hurricane winds out more. And you're building up literally your kingdom within God's kingdom. There's just these borders where, like for example, in our office here, this is my life experience is my kingdom within God's kingdom. and everybody that's coming into my kingdom, all right, is feeling empowered. There's no disempowered. There's no fear, doubt, disbelief. Whenever I catch it, I go, hey, is everything all right? And I remind you that there's some type of provision there, and we have to look for it. As a matter of fact, that's what adjustment is. That's why adjustments here are so amazing. Because I know with absolute, especially with all the things I've been through in my life and in every way, I know there's a provision. I know there's a perfect way. So when I put my hands on you, I'm vibrating with that level of faith, and I'm getting your nerves to be there. And then you can only help somebody to the level of your faith. Pretty sure that's why you like getting adjusted by me, right? So that's powerful. And that's what it's about. It's about staying anchored to that. So you need to talk to yourself if you can't rely on other people. Not their negative stuff, but not their positive stuff either, because they'll give you praise for the wrong things. And they'll build up your ego, so that's not good. Actually, Jesus was like that. He didn't want to accept the praise of man. He knew it was based, man's wisdom is flawed and limited. And as soon as people are like, oh, you're like me, they'll give you praise. And as soon as you switch, they'll switch the opposite way. But only the praise of God is what you're looking for. And the cool thing is, you didn't get praised by God by acting so perfect. You get praised by God by recognizing that you have weaknesses. And that opens the door to find the provisions, because guess what? There's no more stress and tension trying to be perfect, right? And then, since those provisions are using our weaknesses, even our weaknesses become our strengths. And now, that's the way only God can do. And you say, what a perfect life.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing. So you got to look in the mirror sometimes and just say, hey, Tone, you good looking thing? Today is going to be your best day ever. Today we're going to plant some really good seeds. Today we're going to plant some that are really full of life. Really waiting to burst full of life and bear fruit. Wow. Today. There we go. And I see it manifest. See, I'm going to start speaking life over myself. All that matters is what God says about me. I can't rely on others, so who has to do it? You can't rely on others to do it for you. You have to do it. If you're going to depend on others, you become needy. You get that, right? So, but I'm not telling you to hold back complimenting others, which we talked about a real compliment in one of the other workshops. You know what a real compliment is? You know the difference between flattery and compliment? Who knows? Do you know? Do you remember? Flattery is, oh, I like your shirt.
Compliment is...
That's green. But it's like, I'm saying something, but it just bolsters her ego. It's not really adding value to her life or helping her. But if I look at Raphael and I say, hey, you want to know something? I'm really impressed with you. You know, you left for a while, you came back, there was a lot of challenges that came up, a lot of uncertainties, but whatever it was, you found your way back. We're going to commit to it. We're going to get your wife better. We're going to get you better. It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, and that's why I'm just very thankful, impressed, and excited to work with you, okay? That's a real compliment. And sometimes I can follow it up with a question. That kind of stick-to-itiveness and empowerment is rare and hard to come by. And it would be helpful if other people were like that too. How do you actually, how did you get to be, that way? What do you do? What's that? Yeah. So, and actually asking a question and finding out, wanting to, instead of being prideful and thinking you know everything, seeking to learn, see if you can pick up something. There's always something you can pick up. Humility is so important when it comes to communicating. Okay? So do you understand you have to be anchored? And you got to speak to yourself? Do you understand? Alright? Your self-value doesn't come from others, okay? It comes from God. So stop letting water in your boat so you can stay afloat. That sounds good? Just remember, God put seeds of greatness in you. So every time you affirm and speak life over yourself, you're nurturing those seeds and they're going to grow. And soon you're going to see all that greatness manifest in your life. It's that simple. You can't count on someone else. The most valuable ones, the most common blockages for people, the two biggest blockages, okay, where we get so subluxated, the two greatest resources, time, because there's nothing more valuable than your life here, and you only have 24 hours, and that's just the way it is. And your, what's the word? Your values, your priority list, how you prioritize things. Guess what happens when your priorities are out of order? You said stress. You're absolutely right. Every single thing in your life will suffer. So you got to have your priorities straight. When I get up in the morning, first I make sure my connection, it goes God, health, family, mission. God, right? I speak life over myself. Whatever God says about me, my life, my purpose. I know how important I am. I know how important you are. That's why I always tell you how much I need you. And I'm so thankful you're on the mission to spread those seeds to others. As you get more and more empowered, you get to share with others. But if you're not at complete faith yet, who do you really need to work on? Yourself. Now what happens if you're not there yet and you start thinking, okay, let me just start helping everyone else, but you're not anchored to peace yet? It gets frustrating, doesn't it? And what happens is that also drains your energy. That's why the first step is to anchor yourself. Learn how to communicate to yourself better. So you need to look into the mirror, and you need to know that if you're going to do anything worth doing, it's going to take an investment of time and energy, or time and resources, right? Okay, there's a voice constantly whispering at you. You ready? It's not worth it. It's too much. Don't worry about it. Oh shoot, this person may actually start making a difference in their life. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Oh, let's tell them this. Maybe tomorrow. Procrastinate. Tomorrow never comes. Because if you're accepting that vibration in your life, tomorrow you're going to still be vibrating that same frequency. You didn't learn how to overcome it yet. The way you overcome it is you just look at it and you say, hey, it might take a little time, right? If you don't invest any time into healing your leg, are we going to be able to get it better? You know the answer, right? So, are you worth it? Is it worth it? If we can get it feeling better for the rest of your life, you never have to deal with the pain again. Even if there was just a 1% chance we could get better, is it worth it to find out? Exactly, there we go. You see what I just said? Sometimes you got to minimize certain things because faith might not be strong enough yet. So I said, well, even if there's just a 1% chance, then it's like, oh, okay, that's safer for me to agree to. But just so you know, there's a much higher percent chance than 1%. I know we're going to find it because that's what I do. So, but it took me kind of just meeting someone where they're at, you know. If I said 20%, maybe that would have worked too, but I just jumped down quickly to 1%. I just went down to the mustard seed size real quick. It always works. Mustard seed means when you have worldly beliefs, all your beliefs are growing this way. Those are bad seeds. They're all weeds in your garden. They're all growing this way. But anything that's valuable and truthful is going to grow in the opposite direction. Okay? So a mustard seed is so small that it doesn't go in the worldly direction, but it's not actually going in the opposite direction either yet. It fits anywhere. Kind of like this. Let's say you have a really, really strong ego. One of the things I'm going to implant is a mustard seed. The mustard seeds, you start with that. Hey, you're important. You know that, right? You're valuable. You're worth putting the time and energy into. If it means it can change your whole future, isn't it worth putting the time and energy? I mean, you tell me. I know you're worth it, but so you see that? Because even if they have a strong ego, it's going to, whether they're committed to spiritual truth or to their ego, either way, there's room for that in their garden. They're going to agree with it. That's why it's a mustard seed size, like the size of a pepper flake. It fits in any garden. And there's such a strong thing. So because a lot of times it's going to be people's self-esteem. Now you're not going to count on other people for your self-awareness. You're going to speak life over yourself. But that doesn't mean to see other people. They don't know that yet. You're just learning it right now and just starting to apply it better. So if you see other people with low self-esteem, how do you know if they have low self-esteem? Well, if they're acting like they have high self-esteem, they probably have low self-esteem sometimes, right? Because I had a conversation with someone today, one of my patients. She was trying to be so positive, so positive, so positive. So I said, well, what part of you is trying to be so positive instead of just embracing life as it is? You know, putting a positive spin on it. That's the part of you that thinks that whatever's really going on is not good. So it's actually the part of you that's negative is the part of you that's trying to be positive. That's the part of you that we got to stop. If it's the part of you that's negative, is the part of you that's trying to see, because if you knew that that's the part of you that thinks that you can actually make life a little bit better than what God did for you. So you put a positive spin on it. If something hurts, and you go, no, 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 it's not hurting. It's like, well, then I can't help you. I have nothing to help you with then. Right? But if you go ahead, and if something's hurting, stop being so positive, a little bit positive, and just know that we're going to help you get rid of that pain. So tell me the truth. What's going on? Is it hurting it? Is it still got it? Did it change? Did it change it? Now I have something I can work with. And all it's, see, sometimes we're being truthful, but we're lying. You always got to be truthful. So now, once you're anchored to the truth, there's a mnemonic that I got from one of my patients that she teaches her kids. I said, wow, that's amazing. All right? And it's, I think I shared that with you, Jim. Think. T-H-I-N-K. Think. Okay? And each letter stands for something. So it's think before you speak. But it doesn't mean think like get all in your head with all these thoughts of what you want to say. No, remember what we said? You got to connect with people, ask questions, see where they're at, see what shows up. Just have a little faith that something will, you'll see. Ride the momentum wave. So T, is it truthful? Do I know that this is the truth? If you're not there yet in your level of faith yet, you still need to work on yourself. You need to know beyond a shadow of a doubt if it's true or not. If not, then you're still spreading disbelief. So that's like 2 people are stressed out about something, third person comes in, now you have 3 people stressed out about something. And don't you see that happen all the time? Okay, that means you weren't ready to, you weren't a vessel yet to help. You need to be in faith first. So you got to know, is it true? Is it true that there's a way? That you can always find a way? Where are you at right there? How hot are you? Are you 212 yet? Or are you 211 still? Or less? Is it truthful? Is it helpful? And when I say helpful, it doesn't mean helpful the way that I want to help you and pushing my values on you. Helpful the way you want to be helped. For example, somebody comes in and they have chronic back pain for 8 years in their low back. 8 years, young kid. This is real, this really happened. 8 years, and it's a young kid in his 20s. Now, if he's having chronic back pain for 8 years, I know things aren't healing right. And I know those same nerves that control all the functions of the muscles, tissues, and glands in his low back, and you know, the nerve system controls all functions, even the functions that need to be coordinated for healing, including healing. So I know that he's not getting, those same nerves that go to the low back go to the prostate. Some of them go to the kidneys. Like he's having, there could be some major stuff going on. So I want to help him get to the cause of the issue. So I want to help him the way I want to help him. And he's like, hey, listen, we need to get to the cause of the issue. Let's go ahead. Whoa, there's a disconnect here. I'm not making a connection with him because I'm not helping him the way he wants to be helped. He just wants the pain to go away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect with him and I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get the pain to go away for you. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to do it as fast as possible. I'm going to show you how to do it the right way. First, I'm making a connection because love is taking time to let someone feel understood and acknowledged. They need to feel what? Understood and acknowledged. That's love. So I go, so what's the #1 reason you're here for? That's what I always ask. What's your main concern? What are you hoping for? Didn't I ask you that when you guys first came? I said, what are you hoping for? What are you looking? So, but the whole point is it's about making a connection. What is it that you, because I know that there's a provision for you. And I've, through experience and thousands of patients, we've helped so many people find it. And I feel so confident we're going to help you find it. So it's just, what are you looking for? But that's not about what I want for you. If somebody comes to me and they have cancer and they're going through a year of chemo and they've been struggling, because this happened also. They're struggling through it, it's a battle, and it looks like they're not winning. I so badly want to find out what imbalance went on. There was someone that like that recently. I told you about it. A woman with breast cancer. The breast cancer was in the right breast. You know, she found a lump in the right breast. Doesn't that happen a lot of times to people, unfortunately? They found a lump. She found a lump in the right breast. And she thought that, well, they told her that it's because of her genes. She had the breast cancer gene, that BRCA2 gene. And so she felt completely hopeless. They were planting bad seeds. Because the other breast also has that exact same BRCA2 gene, doesn't it? In every single cell. And yet there was no tumor lump or lump found there. So something was going on in this breast that was not going on here. And since it's at the point of whatever immune system function here is so weak and there's abnormal cells growing, it's at the point where it's being diagnosed as cancer, it's spreading. That means the imbalance that's going on here and not here is killing them. And the sad thing is, when you go to the oncologist, are they looking to find that imbalance or that malfunction that caused it? Or once they diagnosed it as cancer, they just took a biopsy, did it, now it's diagnosed as cancer. So there's an imbalance that's killing her. We call it the cause. Right? There's something, that's called a subluxation, not enough normal function. And no one's helping her restore that normal function. As a matter of fact, when you put chemo, what does it do to the normal function of your body? It actually decreases it. So the very thing that's killing her actually gets worse. That's why the success rate is so low. So what we wanted to do is help her know we're going to help her find the cause of that cancer. But she didn't believe that was possible. So if we didn't, so there's a momentum wave. You have to look for the anointing. You know what the anointing is? I was listening to, I think I heard Joel Osteen say this. He said the anointing is literally like being covered in oil. And when someone tries to grab you and take you, even if you're surrounded by a bunch of people, that you can wiggle out of anything. Nothing can hold you down. You're not containable. That's what he said. Nothing can contain you. You have the power of God inside you, right? So it's like that's what I'm always looking for when I do my exam. I'm always looking for that anointing. All right, God, where is it? Where's that momentum wave? You know, a wave of water is going like this. You have to look for that when you're communicating with people. Stop looking for what you want. Start looking for what God provided for you, and you're going to start seeing. Right? There's always a way. There's always a provision. So the momentum wave. This woman just wanted to feel better. By the way, if she found out that she could have actually found out what was causing it, if she found it earlier, she could have got it to go away, and she never had to go through a year of struggling through chemo and all this disease and stuff like that. If that, do you think she even would want to believe that after all the suffering she went through? You get it, right? No way. She doesn't even want to believe the truth if that was true, and it is true. But that's the whole point. So there's no momentum wave there, and we're trying to, so there's a momentum wave here. What if she just said, I just want to see if I can help you feel better? Instead of talking about the cause of, what the heck kind of imbalance caused those abnormal cells to grow, what if we just talked about, you know what? Absolutely will help you feel better. Your body has the same nerve system that controls all things in the body, that can control the immune system. Well, it also helps you adapt to stress, right? Ride the momentum wave. Don't try to make a new wave and force it. Ride the wave. If you're on a surfboard riding the wave, you're going to go far. If you try to go against it, what happens? Are you going to win against that wave? No, you got to find the anointing. So if we just went ahead and said, hey, you know what? Absolutely, we can help you feel better. You know? And there's different natural and holistic things to feel better, but one of the most powerful ways, see, I'm always looking for the provision that's helping them the way they want to be helped, but not below integrity. I know there's always a provision to help bring them towards the truth. It might take 40 years in the desert walking around the mountain over and over again, but we'll get her there. Because she needs it. She needs to be healed, and she needs to make sure cancer doesn't come back. So, but you got to ride the momentum wave. So it's, yeah, we'll help you feel better. The same nerve, see, you have a nerve system that especially, and you can just connect, help her feel understood and acknowledged. So it's like, listen, you must be under so much stress with all the, chemo you're doing, a year, I can only imagine the emotional stresses you're going through, social stresses, family stresses. You have kids? Yeah? Oh my goodness. Trying to be strong for the kids? I get it. Your nerve system must be shot right now. And plus all the chemo you're doing, your nerves control how you handle stress, and you're so overloaded with stress. What I'm going to do is evaluate your nerve system, and I'm going to see what's causing it to not be at its best, and I'm going to find if there's any breakdowns, so I'm going to help boost that and make sure that you can not find the cause of the cancer. She's not ready for that. But make sure, no matter what stresses you're going through, I'm going to do my best for you. You got me on your side. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it a lot easier for you in any way I can. Is that what you're here for? See, that's what she's here for. She'll go, okay, they get me. And then, little by little over time, she starts to realize the nerve system actually controls the immune system too. In medical school, this class is called neuroimmunology. If I had such a big imbalance in my nerve system, is there any chance that imbalance, see, this is down the road. Is that, I can see God's provisions already coming forward. I see it in my mind's eye. Is there any way some of those imbalances in my nerves could have been happening before I even had the cancer that may have led to it? Well, actually, you see all this decay over here? That's about 20 years of decay. So, yeah. See, it'll happen in the right time. You just, as long as they just stay on track and you just always keep encouraging them. Always encourage and support, encourage and support, encourage and support. So do you understand about riding the momentum wave? There's an anointing for you. You don't have to jump right in and say, no, you need this. You need it. You go ahead and you say, I know what they need. I know they need life 100%. I know they need faith to believe. I know they need to believe in themselves. I know you need to believe in yourself. That you don't need to just live with pain. And I also know that there is a way to overcome that actually makes it a blessing that you went through it. Because you grow so much from the experience and you learn so much. That you can look back on it and say, man, it sucked that I struggled for so long, but my life is so much stronger now. And I learned so much. And I get to be more for my kids. I get to be more for my husband. I get to be more for my family. I get to be more, I'm more faithful. I get to be more fulfilled in my life. I'm helping others have more faith too now that I would have never been able to succeed with before. That it was worth it. That's the kind of provisions God has for you. That's why we want the divine one. That's why you have to look for it. Because if you're not looking for it, are you going to find it? No. In the middle of all this riffraff and stuff, you got to look for it, but you'll find it. Okay? So T, is it true? H, is it helpful? The way you want them to be helped? The way you want to help them or the way they want to be helped? There you go. Oh, it takes humility. Did you feel it? Like, right? It's like the way they want to be helped, right? So I, is it inspiring? That means you got to get that mustard seed in there. You see, the most powerful stuff, Jim, just like we have to do it their way, and all this powerful information, I have to just be humble and just wait. Let it be a cherry on top at the end. It's the same thing. It's inspiring. Inspiring things are the smallest things, the mustard seed size. But that's, you're valuable. You're worth it. Right? If letting things continue breaking down, if it keeps breaking down, what happens? To let that happen is just not worth it. It's not worth it. You know what's worth it? You are. Having a healthy future is worth it. Even if it costs you time, energy, money. Tell me, what is that worth? To claim victory in your life, victory in your future, victory in your relationships. Well, you know what? You've got to start looking for those provisions because you can't. How's it been working for you trying to create your own path through this hurricane? But there's a perfect path that's perfectly aligned with the wind. You're trying to help the hurricane wind, but you want to force it your direction and go against that 150-mile-an-hour wind. Hold on. Just stay in the eye of the storm. Follow the way the winds are going. Follow your internal guidance. You'll see the momentum wave, that anointing, the sweet spot. It's like a tennis ball with a tennis racket. There's a certain spot that you'll hit it on the racket. It's the least effort, and it goes the farthest. Look for that spot in your life. You'll stay in the eye of the storm. You'll never have to come across the challenges. Or when the challenges come, there's still certain little bit of challenges, right? As a matter of fact, but it's just enough that you're recognizing that you're growing and learning from it, so it makes it what? Worth it. That's right. So it makes you get even better. Just enough to bless you, in other words. So of course you're going to have challenges, but it's the perfect amount. In other words, you're living the divine plan for your life because you're always looking for His provisions. So N, T is true. Is it true? H is it helpful? I, is it inspiring, right? Inspiring means sharing with someone. Isn't that the right thing to do? To help someone in need, someone who can't help themselves? See, that's inspiring when you say it's the right thing. When it is, as long as everyone's in agreement with that. You follow? It's inspiring. It has to be simple enough. You're worthy. You're worth it. Don't let anyone ever tell you you're not. Don't let anyone ever convince you you're not. So N, is it necessary? In my office, we have a little expression. I tell my staff, I said, did you give them TMI? Debbie, what does TMI stand for?
Oh, it's your
Do you remember? Karen, what does TMI stand for?
too much information.
Too much information. That means you're relying on yourself to try to get a change in someone's heart. Or you're trying to help. You're relying on yourself. It doesn't work. TMI, too much information. All you have to do is just help them through their value subluxations, their time and money subluxations, because you already know there's a way. I mean, when somebody has blood pressure issues, is it obvious that something's not working right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have to spend 10 minutes talking to a vampire about, you know what I mean by a vampire, an energy sick, about how something's breaking down or not working right. Something's imbalanced. And how if that imbalance continues, it's going to, no. If it's obvious, you recognize it's obvious, right? Something's not right, or else why would you need the medicines? So you don't waste time talking about what's obvious and trying to prove that, and then when it's come to get them to a point that's going to propel them forward, they're already exhausted. And so are you, by the way. You start off with, listen, you already know something's not working right, something's imbalanced or breaking down, and if it continues, or else you wouldn't need these medicines, right? So you already know that. Start off with that. You already, because it's obvious, so you already know that. And if you're denying that, no one can help you. You can't help someone if if you're lying to yourself, you're hurting your family. And we know that something's, and if it continues breaking down, it's going to go, that we know already, right? Okay, now you're ready to get them forward. And because don't waste time trying to prove something that's obvious. Believe in them. Just to say, listen, that we know, it's obvious. And if they're fighting what's obvious, they're not looking for your help right now. Just let it go. And if it's a family member, someone who, if it's a stranger, you let it go. If it's a family member, you just let them know with love that, listen, when you're ready to be honest with yourself and stop whatever's breaking down, hopefully before a heart attack or a stroke or something, you can always find a way. And you know why? Because I have certain connections, I'll help you find out what that is when you're ready to find out. Hopefully it's before you have a stroke or a heart attack or something. That's true love. I'm going to check in with you from time to time because I believe in you. I believe that you want to do the right thing. That you don't want to let your body just keep dying slowly inside or breaking down. Notice you start off with a smaller step. There's some type of imbalance. Then you can go to a bigger step. Something's not working right. It's a malfunction. Bigger step. Something's breaking down, right? Whatever controls it's dying slowly. Like, oh, maybe that was too much. You gotta feel, let the Spirit guide you, because it's gotta be peaceful. Ride the momentum wave, plant the seeds. It's as long as it's true. Is it true? It is true. Okay, so they need the truth, or else if they're living, you have to hate lies. The father of all lies is the enemy. So if you see lies, you gotta hate it. Lies allow people, Carrie and I had this conversation today, lies allow people to stay lukewarm and they'll never get the results they're looking for in their life. They're giving themselves a reason why they don't need to find the cause of their problems. Or why it's okay. They're basing it on lies. So if you're gonna love someone, if you're gonna be a divine communicator, you're never gonna be lukewarm when you speak. But you're not going to be prideful either. So you have to be on fire, but do it with compassion. The way I just said, if somebody wants to be stubborn, right, I'm not going to be afraid to share the truth and go, well, I guess it's not for you. Because that's a lie. What? Stopping things from deteriorating before a crisis, before something fails, is not right for him? Of course not. That's me agreeing that he's not important. And that's not true. That's a lie. So I will not embrace a lie. Never embrace a lie. But you can find a way to be on fire, but with compassion, with kindness, which is the K in THI and K. So don't give too much information. Is it necessary? And K, is it kind? Because if you're communicating in the way that it's kind, all the person is going to feel, they're like, you know what? He is only telling the truth. And they can tell that all it is you just care. They feel that you care about them. But if I'm being prideful, ooh, you stepped over the line. And you're going to have practice sometimes. And you'll see. Sometimes it jumps into pride for a second. It's like, oh, no, it's not being compassionate. Compassionate is love. That's God's Spirit. So if you're going to communicate, if you're going to first be connected to peace. First, you got to speak it to yourself all the time, over it, right? Then, you got to think before you speak. What's the T?
Truth. Is it true?
Is it true? What's the H?
Helpful.
Your way of wanting to help them, or in a way that they want to be helped?
The way they want.
Which will seem kinder, right? What's the I?
Inspiring.
Yeah, is it inspiring? First of all, that's where you have your opportunity. It's your value thing. Do they need to know they're worth something? They're worth effort. They're worth the effort. That's what they don't realize. So that's why you need inspiration, or else it's not going to work. You can try all you want if you don't have enough inspiration there. It's not. They need to know. What do they need to know?
They're worth the effort.
They're worth the effort. Because they're going to come up with a million excuses, or their priorities are off, why their time is filled up with everything else. And it's just like, so you're going to, it's like if it's a family member, you can't push them, and you have to be infinitely patient. But then really stay away from lukewarm. So you're going to keep letting yourself keep dying inside? No, that's, okay, just because these soccer practices, you can't, I'm sure there's got to be some way you can have your kid make their soccer practice and still show up, find out what the heck's causing this, and it's like you're kidding, right? And at the same time, see, you don't let yourself be, you stay on fire, you don't let yourself be lukewarm. It's like you're kidding. If you're having a hard time with time or whatever the issue is, I'll help you through it. So you have to be willing to help. You have to be willing to be a servant. The master of all is servant of all. That's where it comes off compassionate and kind. I'll help you with it. You don't have to let things keep breaking down, I mean, the kids' soccer practice? Don't you want to see their graduation and then their graduate school graduation and dance at their wedding and all that too? Okay, let's make sure if we keep things breaking down, what's going to happen? Isn't it going to hit a crisis? We're not going to really let all that stress keep building up until a crisis happens, are we? No. Tomorrow never comes. Let's make it like, here, I'll find a way to help you today. If you really mean that. You're worth putting the effort into, right? See, I jumped down to the mustard seed because you might have to jump up and down a little bit. You're worth it. Having a healthy future is worth it. Being able to have all that extra time with your kids. Isn't it worth the energy? Okay, then all right, that's it. As soon as you're in agreement there of value, now you're in the spirit. And now the doorway is open. It's like, okay, let's figure this out. I don't know how yet, but we'll figure it out together, okay? And while they're warm and hot, because they will get lukewarm real quick again if they're so self-excited, they've been so used to things. Whatever way of influence that caused them to think that they weren't worthy or important is still in their life. And we'll bring them back out of it. So usually you want to do something right there in the moment. Take at least an action step. The action step anchors somebody. Some action step. Make an appointment. Don't I always just say, hey, why don't we just make the appointment if something, right? Because it means when you write something down, you're prioritizing it over worldly things. And if it's your life and your health you're prioritizing, that's a good thing anyway. It's worth it. But if you're not willing to, it's because you still have to see everything else first and then see where you can do it. So it's actually less than the priority. So you're actually, even if you did show up, you're on your way out, not in. You follow? So you never want to be lukewarm, but it has to be with compassion. Okay? Never accept lies. You're always looking for the right seed for the right soil. Your soil is just your soul. It's your committed beliefs. And it's like there's so many different weeds in there that you might not find the right size seed. So you have to let Spirit guide you. Let your spirit of peace guide you. But you can't do that if you're not at peace before you start. Or if you're judging that person. Or resentful. You need to know that everyone's a child. They're like a big 2-year-old. Everyone, including myself. Ask my wife. It's the truth. She'll tell you. So sometimes you want to know who you are. In your process of getting to that state of peace, you don't know who you are yet. So you have to start asking yourself, why do I want what I want? because you'll start to realize you don't really know yet. If you could give some reasons why that aren't inspiring, and that's not your deepest self yet. You want to find your inspiring why. Because once you know that, let's say you have arguments with people in your family all the time. If you don't know why you want what you want and it's not inspiring, then you have zero leverage in this conversation, in this argument. And you're going to be frustrated every time and struggle. But if someone goes, Mommy, why do you have to go ahead and do this? And you're like, honey, when I went ahead and I looked inside my body, see, don't be lukewarm. I was decaying, there was disease spreading, and I need to make sure I'm here for you. We always put health as our health and our future is always one of our priorities. But I promise you that, see, because you want them to put their health and their future as a priority too. They will copy not what you say, they'll copy what you do. So you can't be lukewarm. Lukewarm, it's nasty. Okay? I'd rather have iced coffee or hot coffee. Okay? I'll drink it, but I won't like it. Okay? So don't teach, ask questions. How are we doing with this? Are we good?
Yep.
Alright, are we gonna speak life?
Amen.
Are we gonna speak life over ourself?
Yeah.
You get it? Okay, so that's pretty much it. Remember, when you're communicating, I want to leave you with this. You know, in baseball, you have, if you're, raise your hand if you know baseball. Are you familiar with baseball? Baseball. The pitcher, you hit the ball with the bat.
Baseball.
What?
I was gonna say in Spanish, but I realized it's the same word.
Thing. Baseball.
Yeah.
All right, so you all know what baseball is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in baseball, if a batter fails to get a hit 2 out of every 3 times, right? But gets a hit 1 out of every 3 times, what do you call that? That means a .333 batting average. You call him an all-star, don't you?
Yeah, 333.
All right, so someone who knows baseball. In baseball, if you get 1 hit and fail 2 times, and only succeed once out of every 3, and your whole career's like that, they will put you in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
If you get 2 out of 4 hits, they will name a stadium after you. They'll have streets in the cities named after you.
I don't think anybody's done it.
No one's ever done it.
I don't think so.
And that means you have to fail half the times. Now, when you start practicing your communication, here's what you're going to have to do. Here's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to start off talking to who? When you leave here today? Ourself. Every morning, start your day there. Your priorities is God, right? What's God say about me? Let me affirm that over myself, okay? Now, number 2, health. Take a little time. When you say that over yourself, you might feel some resistances because there might be some bad seeds, bad worldly thinking. Get the water out of your boat. That's what spinal exercises are. Get rid of that negativity. Get rid of it. You don't want to sink. You take on too much every day. Get rid of that tension out of your nerves, right? Most people are still, by the way, most of the people you love and care about, are they still letting stress and tension build up in their spine until a crisis happens?
Yeah.
A crisis is organ failure. A crisis is now you need blood pressure medications, or you're going to have a stroke because your blood pressure is so high, or you got to go to the hospital, you can't work, things like that. That's what most people are doing. We got to help them, but we have to find the momentum waves and plant the right seeds and stop focusing on the 2 times you struck out, because as long as you get 1 hit every 3 times, you're an all-star.
Wow.
Yes.
What are some of the things, positive things that you say to yourself?
So I have an actual thing that I listen to every night in the morning and whenever I feel like it, and I'll give it to you, okay? But anything that gives you, that helps you connect to the truth about who you are, what you're capable of, and what you needed. Like, for example, this is a fact. I can do it by asking questions. Most of the people you know care about, are they letting stress and tensions build up? Is there any doctor in the world that says stress is good for your health? Okay, so we know the more they let stress build up, the more it makes them sick. We know 5 out of 6 people, just look at statistics, die from cancer and heart disease, strokes and heart attacks, right? Plus all these other autoimmune diseases and stuff. It's like almost everybody's getting sicker. You know that if they stopped letting that stress build up in their nerves, you could add years to their life. If they started taking care of this, find the way we teach it here. Hold on a second. So I'm going to get there. But first, I'm preparing your soil. Okay? So I'm helping you bring certain things to the forefront that you agree with. Right? So the whole point is, we know that there's a lot of people in your life that are letting that stress build up until they have a heart attack or cancer. These are people you care about. They're most likely going to keep letting that happen unless somehow someone plants the right seed in a way that's they're willing to accept with the right timing and anointing of God, or else it's not going to work. And if you try forcing it, you're not going to succeed. If you focus on two times you tried and you did it your way, you're going to get discouraged and you're going to give up on your friends. And they're going to pull, what's actually happening is they're making you lukewarm. Now you're going to end up going through the same disease processes they're going to go through. Even if you come here, it's not your majority of who you are anymore. So we're just slowing down the process, but you'll still get it. But if you make your life about the mission, about spreading those seeds, because you know who you are, and you know how important you are, and you know you're valuable. For example, are there a lot of people you know that I'll never meet? Okay, how many people know that what we're sharing today to the degree that we know it? So without your help, those people will never get the right seed planted. That's how important you are. You're needed. You're necessary. And that's why I'm glad you're here, because I need you to start working on yourself first, every morning. And once you get to that point of faith, and you can share that faith, you can only share up to your level of faith. You got it? That's why I told you, stop trying to plant such a huge acorn in someone where there's only room for a mustard seed. Just let them know that they can get better. When and don't accept anything worse than that. Just be like, listen, you know God always provides a way. You know there's always provision. What the heck does Jehovah Rapha mean? Not Jehovah Rapha, that's God the healer, your healer. Jehovah Jireh mean anyway. Alright? Come on, you don't tell me that you don't really believe what the Bible says. Because you're a Christian. You're surrounded by all the people we're talking about, right? So, hold them accountable. Let them realize that they're actually peeing on the Bible. That's what they're doing. See, was I lukewarm there, or was I?
On fire.
Because that's what they're doing. That wasn't lukewarm at all. I know, I painted a picture. But if you go ahead and you read it every day, and then you're not expected to be perfect, but when someone shows you, hey, look, see this? You're actually making a mistake here. That's not. And then they choose to just ignore it. I just want to forget what I just learned. They're peeing on the Bible. They're showing it no respect at all. Now they're just doing it to do it so that other people can see that they're reading it every day. They're not really looking to get their life aligned with it. Am I wrong on that, Jim?
No. It's a waste.
It's a waste. So,
How do we, like for ourselves, when we want it? Give us a couple of things.
I feel your heart. So, are you ready? For me personally, it changes every day.
Okay.
But I start off with today is going to be, since I started today, today's going to be one of the most amazing days of my life. I'm going to plant some really great seeds today. You know, your goal is about planting seeds. Focus on doing that, and if you always planted the right seed, whether you got the result you wanted today or not, you're not supposed to make the fruit grow. You're supposed to plant the seed. And then you'll always feel fulfilled if you found the right seed to plant. As soon as you get good at this, practice yourself. If you're trying to make people take an action, the Creator Himself couldn't do that. Okay? So it's like, so your job is just to keep planting the right seeds so that people have every opportunity to turn around. And as long as they're in your presence, you make sure they always have hope. That they always have, why is there always hope? Because they don't know what's breaking down. They didn't even start trying to find out what was there, and they didn't even try to stop it to see if they could. And you can just look at them and say, hey, even if there was a 1% chance, you want to help filter out people easier? Get away the vampires and stop wasting your energy with them? Just ask them the if question. If. And make it 1%. If there was a 1% chance that we could turn this whole thing around, that you can actually, whatever's breaking down, instead of going to medicine and managing the symptoms, if you could find out what's not doing its job right and causing all this breakdown, and turn it around, and you never have to be sick again. If there was a 1% chance you could do that, would it be worth putting the time and energy in for you? If they say, no, they brush it off, stop wasting your time. You just saved yourself a lot of energy. Because even if you prove it to them, they don't care. they don't think they're worth it. So you just look at them. If it's someone you love, you just look at them and you say, hey, you know what? I don't know what experience you had in your life or whatever it is that made you think that stopping something from breaking down inside you before a crisis happens isn't worth it. But I want you to know that you have someone in your life who always will believe that you are worth it. And that's why I can't sit here listening to you complain all the time. You're breaking my heart every time. Because I just want to help you, but it's just breaking my heart. I can't. You got it. What does the scripture say? Kick the sand off your sandal, stop hanging out with them. Because the truth be told, you will start like a tuning fork. Hot and cold water come together. You will start to vibrate the same frequency as the 5 people you hang around with the most. Carrie just started working a week ago. What happened to your life in the last week? Everything just started shifting. But she's been hanging around because she's working with us and she's hanging around this vibration here. And it's just like so much growth just happened. That's why a lot of you start healing. Did you ever start healing and feeling better the moment you walked in the door?
Yes.
Does that anyone happen to anyone else? You, Maria? You, Roxanne? Yes? Bev? Yes? See? You too? Yeah? You see that? Okay, has that ever happened to you? Yeah? See? It's all about, you're starting to align yourself with a certain way of thinking, a certain way of being. Why do you think I don't let you guys use your cell phones? Oh, who took down the sign? No cell phones in here. Because you're surrounded by so much baloney, so much outside-in stuff. This office is time for inside-out stuff. Meditate, get ready for your adjustment. I love you guys. Are you ready for better communication?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, a seed can only be the size that they're ready to do. But if somebody's breaking down and you care about it, you have to, this is very important. Here's how you're going to leave here today, because we have a dinner coming up and I want to show you how to communicate better for that, at no matter what level you're at. You ready? Of communication. So, the fastest way to save a life, if something's breaking down, is to get them to start looking inside. See what's breaking down so they can stop it before a crisis happens. So, the fastest way is to let them know you can get them a gift card. You're going to get them one. Just, they need to get checked, but get them to go into agreement first before you, but let them know you're willing to go out of your way to get one. You'll come to ask us, we'll write it, we'll write their name on it. But you're not going to do that for someone who's not making the time. Do they realize that they're worth it? No, you got to let them know. Of course you are. Of course you're worth it. You're doing it. Come on. Now if you're just plain testing the waters. If they're rejecting that, you don't sit there and get angry and frustrated. You drop back and it's like, are you serious? Listen, now you humble yourself. Pride or humility? You just say, listen, and this is being recorded so you can watch it again later, okay? But you just say, listen, you don't get lukewarm, but you humble yourself. But you still stay on fire. And in other words, it's the same amount of faith coming forward. You say, listen, I know it's the right thing for you. I know that if you understood what the heck I'm trying to say, you would want it. So just trust me, you'll see, at least meet the doctor. Before he does an exam, he'll do a pre-exam consult, at least have a consultation with him. You don't have to do any test if you don't want to. By the way, do we ever make people do tests? No. But after a consultation, usually they look at me and they go, that makes sense, yeah, I would want to know. I'm like, if you see things breaking down and decaying, do you want to know before it shows up in the blood test? And what if it doesn't show up in the blood test? Does it always show up in medical tests? No. Sometimes people go to the doctors, they say the doctors couldn't find what was wrong, right? So if you have things breaking down, do you want to know? That's what I always ask them. Everybody always says, yeah, but they don't know how to communicate. You don't necessarily know how to communicate it with the right tone, the right faith. It's really God that's doing it, right? So you just go ahead and you say, listen, just have a consult. If you don't want to go, if you don't want to get tested, you don't have to. Just a consult. Just at least meet the doc. They go, no, I'm not doing it, right? So then it's like, okay, fine. But I love you and I'm not giving up on you. See how you just planted one more mustard seed? About, you gave a reason why you're going to go to the third option, and you say, so you have options here. You don't have to try to be the best communicator and get that person to get checked on the first conversation. So you just drop down and you say, hey, listen, at least meet the doctor on neutral territory, and we'll have a fun dinner, and none of us even need to pay for it. The doctor's fine. It's a community event. It's that important. They're on a mission. I want to just share with you what he'll speak between the appetizers and the, see, just explain it. And you say, it'll be great. And it's on neutral territory, and if you don't want to, you don't have to do anything. But we'll have a fun dinner anyway. It's free food, and you'll see what I mean. But you see, you're not going for the free food. You're still being clear. You're not getting lukewarm and just getting to come for the food. You're still sending the faith message. You're sharing faith with people. It's a smaller step. At least be not. And then at that point, it's like, what restaurant? You're like, it's a great Italian restaurant, La Boca, right here in White Plains, right? It's like, oh, good. Listen, I'm going to get us there. You know? Do you have anyone you want to bring with you? So it's not just us, so you can bring whoever you want. This way you're not alone, right? Oh, now you brought 2 or 3 people. Start to spread the seed too. All right? So if they say no, right? Anyway, you get the point? You go through certain steps. But if somebody, if you care about them, do you give up on them in the first swing? No, you get 3 strikes before you strike out, and you still try again. And even after 3 times, if you got 1 hit, that's 9 swings. 1 hit. You're an all-star. You got it? So when's the next dinner, hon?
Monday.
Oh, this Monday! Guys, let me tell you something. Start off with, and the smallest seed, anyone you want to know about it, write down their name. Write it down right now. You have people you care about? We will start to pray for them. I promise you, if you tell us not to call, we won't call them. We'll start to pray for them. Do you really believe in the power of prayer? Do you want your husband to be letting stress continue building up until a crisis happens? Or do you want him to start releasing it somehow? So write his name down. Give it to Karen. We'll start for the. You can put on the invite list to the dinner or the prayer list. Put on the prayer list. We'll call, but we'll start praying with you. Remember what happened when you prayed with your son? What happened?
He took the first step.
He took the first step. We prayed powerfully though, right? So don't you want more powerful prayer for the people you care about? And more people praying? That's a mustard seed right there. That won't get rejected. Look at someone. Sometimes the word prayer gets rejected, but if you just go ahead and say, listen, I'm going to send some positive energy, some good energy your way. I hope every one of your deepest hopes and dreams comes true. Stop it. No. See, no one's going to, come on. If they did that, they're a vampire anyway. You don't need help, okay? There's always going to be that person that just wants to, like that person who was just told they have lung cancer, and they're still smoking their cigarettes, and they're still going ahead saying, I don't care, I'm just going to keep doing what I do, and whatever it is. But that's a small percentage of people. Most people want help. And that's what we're offering. Are we offering to treat people? No. It's just a checkup. That's it. It's to be, the CEO is scared. Like, what the heck is it? It's just a checkup. Just to see if your spine has enough life flowing through it to your heart, your lungs. Did you even know it's that important? Most people don't even realize it's that important. And if there's any decay and breakdown going on, if your body's breaking down, well, we'll let you know. It's just a checkup. But there's no judgment. There's no self-condemnation here. It's just awareness. And we blessed with the free checkup. I had somebody, Debbie told me someone told her, like, I don't need a checkup because I feel fine. Right? It's like, this is the same, look at the lies. This same person goes to the gynecologist every year. Why does she go? She feels fine. Well, just to check. Wait, you get the point? Right? And I'm sure she does other tests too, but I know the gynecologist, I'm sure she does other checkups too. So it's like, if you already knew something was wrong, you don't need a checkup to make sure something's wrong. Now you want to do a special test to find out what's causing it. We can do that for you too. But this is just a checkup. Better to know early than late.
Yeah.
You see how simple it is? People make it to be such a big thing. It's just a checkup.
Yeah.
Okay? So, you see? When people are making the big things, the enemy always wants to magnify the opposite things and minimize things that are important. So, having a long, healthy life, is that important?
Yeah.
Making sure you can be there for your kids? So the enemy will minimize it. Yeah, whatever. I don't know if I have time. But then the things that are less important, right? Like making sure you got through that red light and this one person was there. Now you're a little bit late for work, but still, to make sure you save that extra 1 minute to get to work, and you ended up deciding to risk an accident and go around and because you're so angry and frustrated. That was a big deal to make sure you saved that extra minute. But to go ahead and invest a little time to just check and just do a checkup at a place where you can see a thorough evaluation if something's breaking down, medical tests aren't good enough. A lot of times things are breaking down and you don't know. Does that make sense? Does this help everybody in their communication?
Yes.
Do you understand about not being lukewarm?
Right.
But you have to be kind. So work your way up to 212 degrees. But I promise you, once you hit that 212, that's where everything changes. I was working on my communication for so long, struggling, cancer, what else did I have? Ulcerative colitis, all these things, right? Finally, I went from 211 to 212, and it was like a change in state. Liquid, gas. Everything was heavy. You know how heavy water is? Everything was weightless, effortless. Everything was me doing it. Now it was God doing it.
Wow.
Once I hit that 1 degree, is it worth putting the time in, even if it took you a year or 2 years to work on your communication, if for the rest of your life now, your family, relationships, everything's going to be so much better, you're going to be more productive, you're going to bring more people to Scripture, you're going to, whatever it is you do, you're going to increase your client base, make more business because you're making better friends, you're communicating, increasing your networking. So start applying it today, okay? Everyone good?
Yes.
Have an amazing, yes, Debbie? Oh, thank you. So this is the dinner list, okay? Make sure you have another list if there's for people just start praying for them.
Okay.
Okay? So we're going to pass 2. This is the dinner list. If you have someone you want us to help you, put down, call me, and we will help you. Listen, I don't expect you to overcome your own subluxations. So tell me what you think the biggest fear or blockage is. And let us help you recognize some of those and help you strategize. And maybe they won't come to Monday's dinner, but I bet you we could probably get them to the next one. In other words, is there a provision for them? So why give up on them? If you care about them, just know there's a way, okay? All right, so this, raise your hand if you have someone that you're thinking about right now, that God put someone in your heart, someone that you want us to start praying for. No? Oh, you do?
Not prayer.
Yeah. So prayers. So if it's the prayer list, that's the prayer list, right?
This is the prayer list.
Okay, and we will not, but we will pray with them for you. And when you come in for a visit, we will pray with them, with you, and we will help you make adjustments and little by little start finding those provisions that are there for you. And that's going to empower you in your life in every area of your life. Plus, the extra bonus is you get to help them. Okay?
Amen.
So that's the prayer list. Is there anyone who has an idea that someone that it's like people, they're not that bad and that stubborn and that obstinate, and it's like, yeah, let's give them an invite to the dinner. It's okay. And if they don't, we'll start praying for them anyway. Anyone? Do you have someone? Yeah? Okay. So give that to Raphael. Who else said that? Jim, you had to, oh, Robert, yeah? Okay. You two, okay. All right. I love you guys. All right? Everyone else, you better put someone on the prayer list. It means you have nobody you care about. Come on, you know you have people you care about. Let's just at least start praying for them. Okay? It's going to go around. Yes? Okay.